Hi everybody, how you doing? It's Joni here at Joni's Journals, and I've come along today for a quick little video on how to make some tiny little policy pockets. Cash envelopes, I don't know what else you would call them, but what I'm doing is I have two little examples here of how they look. And this one has a lot of string on it. Okay, what I use is a 6x6 piece of paper. I'm using Tim Holtz again for my sample to show you. Okay, and then also what you're going to need is, well, I used let me just grab it because I forgot actually what size I used. Hang on one second. I used my 5/8 inch punch to punch out the little circles that we'll use to make our closure. Okay, and you're going to need two brads. Okay, or what else are they called? Paper fasteners. All right, I have two that are here. Mine are a little bit larger than they need to be. But I used them on this one and it worked out perfectly fine. This one I tried to use a little grommet. I made a punch with my crocodile, and I don't really like the way that this one turned out. So I think we're going to stick to doing it with our little paper fasteners or brads. Okay, so for this one in particular, I couldn't decide which side of the paper I liked better, but I kind of think I like the alphabet side. Okay, this is cut out of a 12 by 12 sheet of paper from one of the Tim Holtz pads. Okay, this is what the rest of it looks like. Now, since I am using directional paper, you need to know that if you're going to do the same thing, your first scores are going to need to be done with your paper facing in the proper direction in your scoreboard. And what you're going to do is you're going to make a score at 2 7/8. Okay, oops, let's just grab hold of that. And excuse my hands, I am in the middle of working on videos, doing a mixed media project for you guys, which will probably come out later on today, if not early Sunday morning, depending on how much I can get finished. All right. So that's why I'm a little brown and you might see some red paint, but that's what's going on with me. Okay, your first score is going to be at 2 7/8, like so. And then your second score is going to be at 5 3/4. All righty. Our weather here in Florida has been a little bit nuts these past few days. And so everything is kind of damp because I've had the windows open. It's been nice and cool. And so the dampness is making everything sticky. Okay, then what you're going to do is you're going to turn your piece of paper. All right, and you're going to put the top of the paper up against the side of your scoreboard, and you're going to score at 1. Okay, that's going to make our little flap, which is this piece here. Okay, our little flap that we use to close our little policy envelope. You're going to score at 1, and then you are going to score at 5.5. All right, like so. Okay. So this is what your paper will look like on the back. And I am just going to get rid of my scoreboard for now. And I think I'm actually just going to put it on my stool. And I'm going to bend on my score marks just so that I know where they're at. Okay. And I'm going to do what I usually do. And I'm just going to put a little ink on those scores so that I can see where my scores are. And so you can see where my scores are as well, because we're going to be doing a little bit of cutting. All right. So I'm going to ink up that score mark, and then I'm going to bend it here. And I'm going to ink up this score mark like so. So you can see where our score marks are. And then I'm going to bend this part over. And I'm just going to ink my score mark on here. And we should be all set and good to go at this point. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to need to do some cutting. And we are going to cut away this area here, and we're going to cut away this area here too. But what we're going to start with before we start cutting all of this out is we're going to cut this corner, and we're going to cut this corner, and we're going to round it, because this is going to be our flap that's going to fold under. It's going to make our little seam here. And we want to kind of lessen up the amount of paper that's going to be tucked underneath. So I'm going to grab my scissors. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to cut along that fold line right there. Okay, maybe just a little bit further in from your score mark. And then you're going to round up like so. Okay, and create just a tinier little flap. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to fix this edge here. I don't know what it is with me lately and cutting, but I can't seem to cut a straight line. I can tie a bow though, right, Nat? All right, and then we're going to cut up this edge here. I'm going to cut down and we're going to take that corner off. And then we're going to round over a little bit like so. And there we have our little flap that's going to get folded under and glued to our policy envelope. And then what we're going to do also is we are going to cut along this score line, and we're going to take this piece out, and then we're going to cut along that score line, and we're going to take this piece out, okay? So I'm just going to do that now. And again, I'm cutting a little bit to the left of my score line to take off the extra paper. So you can see I'm cutting up along the side there, like so. And then I'm just going to bend this underneath. And I'm going to take that portion off right there. And with any luck, I will cut a straight line and we will be good. I just want to check to see that you can see what I'm doing in the camera. And there we go. Okay, so now we have that part cut off. And again, you can see it's a little bit crooked. So I'm just going to go in and I am going to trim this edge here too. Okay, so we can make sure that we have it straight. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I am going to go and I'm going to cut this piece off over here. Okay, I'm going to do my very best to try to get this straight, because this is the top of the policy envelope that you're going to see once you lift up your flap. Okay, and I'm going to cut just into that score line like so. And I'm going to cut that piece off right there. Okay, so now what you'll be left with is a piece of paper that looks like this. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to go in and I am going to round my corners. So I'm going to use my medium-sized corner rounder part there. That will be my number 7. I have a 4, a 7, and a 10. And I'm going to use my number 7. And I'm going to round those corners on the top. And I'm going to round the corners on the bottom. It's a little tough to get all this paper in like so. But let me see if I can. Let's try again and see if I can get this tucked. Oh, there we go. And I just got round that little corner there. And I don't know why, but I've got a little flap there. And I'm just going to go in and I'm going to push the paper in like so. And I'm going to round off that corner there too. So now you're left with this, okay? Now, before we start gluing anything down, we are going to need to make the holes for our little fasteners here. Now, these are composed of, I think it was, let me see if I can count the layers. This is 3 pieces of 3 pieces of 5/8 inch circles that were punched out and glued together, and then I've inked around. So now what we want to do, I like to kind of measure where I want my little circle closure button. Some people call it buttonhole closure. I don't know why. And I like to see whereabouts it's going to go on to my little envelope here. And I think it would look good right about there. So I'm going to take my awl and I am going to put a hole through my circle and through my policy envelope at the same time. And I'm just trying to line it up to make sure that I'm in the center. And that looks about right. And so I'm leaning on an old little notebook that I use to write directions down when I'm making my videos for you guys. And I'm just going to make a little hole, and I'm going to keep going and keep going to poke through all those layers of paper. Okay. Let's see, I should have gotten through all of them. And did I? Yes, I did. Now I'm going to take and I'm just going to put my little awl through that hole on my envelope flap, like so. And this way I should have a nice big hole. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's right there. Okay. And then I'm going to take my little button, I guess we can call it, and I'm going to go through and I'm just going to poke my awl all the way through like so and try to make that hole a decent size so that I can get my, oops, sorry, I hit you guys, get my little brad, my little paper fastener poked through in there. Okay. Excuse my voice. I was doing another video before, and I think that I started coughing. And I think I have like a little tickle in my throat. There is a little something going around. Our kids in class have all been a little sniffly here and there. Okay, and so now I have my brad poked through there, okay? And I'm just going to tuck it in here temporarily, all right? Because I don't want it in here while I glue. So I'm just going to push the brad through that hole. Yes, I am. I really am. Okay, there we go. And I'm just going to open up the little feet on here just so that I can get an idea of where my button is going. And then I'm going to lay it down and I'm going to kind of eyeball it to see how far down I want to make my hole for my other little button there. And I'm going to grab my pencil and I'm going to say that maybe right about there. Okay, I'm going to make a pencil mark. You can see how scientific and how measured this all is. I'm just kind of eyeballing the distance that I'd like to have the little button away. And maybe I'll come down a little bit more, like so. Okay, and maybe like that. And I'm going to hold my little button down. Okay, and I'm just going to make a mark with my pencil right here where the edge of my button is going to go. Excuse me. Okay, and we can see that that little mark there is nowhere near where we want our hole to be. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up. Whoop. And I'm going to do pretty much the same thing. I'm going to line my little button up with the little mark that I made with my pencil. And I'm going to take my awl and I'm going to kind of eyeball it. And that looks to be just about the middle for me. And I am going to poke a hole through and try to get through all those layers of paper and also get through the little envelope as well. Okay, you want to do this before you glue your envelope together. Otherwise, you won't really be able to get your brad into the envelope in a nice way. You're going to have to kind of play with your envelope and kind of take the chance that you're going to make a mess of it. So it's very important that you put your little closures on first. Okay, and again, I'm just going to take my awl and I'm going to poke a hole through that. And I'm going to grab my other brad. And I'm going to poke it through. Now, what I like to do, because I want to make sure that nothing, if I put things in and out of this envelope, I want to make sure that this little paper fastener is not going to interfere with stuff going in and out of the envelope. So what I will do now is I'm going to take my little 1-inch circle punch, and I'm going to punch a hole out of a piece of scrap paper. And I do have scrap paper put aside. Okay. All right. So that's in. Is that in all the way? Yes, it is. All right. I'm sitting here and I'm talking to you, and heaven only knows why I decided to open the feet on the brad. And we're going to poke the feet through from the brad, like so. And we're going to secure our little button onto our envelope. I'm going to make sure, yep, it's in a good place. And so we're going to open the feet on the little paper fastener like so. And I'm going to make sure that this one is secured in. And now I'm going to take my little 1-inch punch. Actually, you know what? I'm going to use my 1.5-inch punch because that one actually worked out better for me on the last one that I made. And I'm going to take a piece of cardstock, a little piece of scrap cardstock. Let's see if I can find a piece here that I can get a 1.5-inch circle out of. Now let's see if we can do that. Oh, that will give us a 1.5-inch circle. Well, it's a little square on one end, but that's okay. All right, and this will give us enough room to glue our little circle down and not have the little feet interfere with the circle. Now, where did I put my glue? Oh gosh, guys. I figured this would be a cute little video, just something in case you guys have never made one of these. Or if you have made them before, this could be a little refresher for you. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I am going to take and I am going to put glue all around this little 1.5-inch circle here so that I know that it's staying stuck down inside of my policy envelope and that the feet of my little paper fastener will not interfere with things that I'm trying to take in and out of the envelope. So I'm going to push down and I'm going to make sure that this is glued down nicely and covering those little pokey bits on the feet of my brad like so. And it seems to be holding on. It's plenty of glue on there. And now what we're going to do is we're going to actually put our envelope together. But what we want to do before we do that is we want to put in a little thumb hole so that we know where we are going to go to grab our stuff in and out of the envelope. Okay, so we have our little thumb hole there. And I'm just going to ink that up a bit, like so. Okay, let me get my glue out of the way. And now what you're going to do is you're going to take that small edge that you cut away before, and we're going to put glue all along that edge, like so. Okay. And we're just going to make sure we got plenty on there. And we're going to take it and we're going to fold it over. And we're going to lay, we're going to lay our two edges together. I'm going to hold them tight so they stay stuck. And I'm going to wipe off that excess glue off of there. And also off of my fingers. Okay. So now you have your little envelope all sealed up with your little buttonhole closures on there. And I'm going to make sure that I inked this up. I do have that little edge there. I don't know where it came from, but it's annoying me. So I'm just going to snip it off. There's just the tiniest little piece of paper hanging off of there. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to ink my little corners that I rounded before, like so. And I'm going to put some glue down on this bottom flap, like so. Okay. And I'm going to flip that flap over. And we're going to close up the bottom of our envelope. All right. And we're going to go around and we're just going to ink again on these edges. And I'm going to ink along here where we cut our paper away before. Okay. You can see I pretty much have already inked this. But I like my things nice and inky. Like so. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to grab some of my crochet thread. It's super fine. It's a number 1. And I'm just going to cut off a decent amount. I always overdo and have too much. But better to have too much than not to have enough, because you can't add it back on once you've begun. Okay? And I'm going to fold my little flap over like so. And I am going to take, and I'm just going to slide my string under my little button there. Give myself enough so that I can tie it on securely. And I'm going to make a knot that way. Okay, so that we're kind of securing our string onto our brad. And then I'm going to bring it up here. And I am going to tie it again, okay? Make sure I'm kind of reversing the way I'm tying it so that I know that it's going to stay secure. And then I'm just going to tie it one more time so that I know it's staying on nice and tight. And when we use it for all the ephemera we're going to use it for, we have it and we know it's not going to come apart. And I'm going to tie one more time. Okay? And then I am going to cut off this end right here, like so, as far up as I can get it. All right. Whoops, I didn't do a very good job, did I? Let's try that again. Okay. There we go. So now we've cut off our excess. And I like to, when I use these kinds of strings and threads, tie a little knot at the bottom in case it starts to fray. It will stop fraying at the knot. I'm just going to pull that down and leave a little tail there. Okay. And there you have it. There's our little policy envelope. That's going to tie closed. Whoops. Like so. I'm going to wrap it around a few times around the top one and the bottom one. It takes a little while to get them started, like so. And then I'm just going to wrap it around the top here a few times. And there we go. There's our little policy envelope. And in fact, what I think I might do, I'm going to make a knot further up here, like right about there. Because I do think I did make my string a little too long. And I think I'm going to cut this end off here, like so. And then we can wrap it around one more time, or maybe 2 more times. And there you go. How cute is that? Quick and simple with a little 6x6 piece of paper, your little 5/8 punch, your little corner rounder, your little 1-inch punch to make your thumb hole. And you're good to go. Okay, guys? Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Later on today, and again, maybe tomorrow morning, I will have a video out doing a little mixed media project. And I want to see how well it goes over, because there's 1 or 2 other ones that I have planned. And I want to see if you guys like them or not. And if I do, maybe we'll do them together on camera. Okay, so I'm going to send you lots of love and big hugs, and ask you to please, please remember to like, subscribe, and comment, because it does really help out my channel. And I'm shooting, my next goal is to get to 1,500 subscribers. So yeah, maybe I'll get lucky and we'll get that done too. Okay, guys? Love, hugs. See you soon. Bye-bye for now.